Welcome back. I'm recording on time too. I thought I was gonna wait a few months again just to prank y'all. But Russell, oh no, where did his head? Oh gosh. Russell, you wanna help me with this video? Right, Russell? You're gonna help me with this video, right? He's not answering me. I thought of this just now. Today, Russell and I are going to be reading a scary story. Mostly me, because Russell doesn't want to cooperate, right? That's word. That's cooperate. There it is. Right, Russell? Are you gonna say stuff now?
Dude, you suck. I hate you.
I can't carry this guy anywhere. What is your problem? I've known this story for a few years now, and I actually told it in my drama class in 8th grade. It is called The Coffin Story. One rainy, windy night, not unlike tonight, a man was walking home alone down a dark, deserted street that ran by the local cemetery. As he passed the gates, he heard a bump in the darkness behind him. Russell, it's okay. I'm so scared. Not daring to look back, he quickened his pace, but the bumping noise continued behind him. He continued and turned to see what it was. Coming down the road behind him was a coffin, standing on end, bumping from side to side. Bump, bump, bump. The man, terrified for his life, turned and ran into the driving rain. Behind him, the coffin came faster. Bump, bump, bump. Ahead of him, there was a branch that had fallen from a tree. He reached down and grabbed it as he ran by. Still running, he turned and threw it over his shoulder at the coffin. But it just splintered when it hit the coffin, and the coffin continued running faster. Bumpity, bumpity, bumpity. The man turned the corner onto a street and ran through the front gate. The coffin ran right behind him. His splitting axe was resting against the woodpile when he snagged it, turned, and gave it a mighty two-handed throw, sending it end over end right at the coffin. Smash! The axe shattered on the unnaturally strong wood of the coffin and continued after him. The man dashed in his house, but the coffin crashed through the front door. The man ran upstairs and grabbed his shotgun off the wall display. He blasted the coffin with both barrels, but the shot bounced harmlessly off the coffin as it continued up the stairs. Bump, clomp, bump, clomp. Clomp? Funny word, right, Russell?
No.
The man, desperate and scared to death, jumped into the bathroom and locked the door. Knowing it would do no good, the coffin banged against the door once, twice, and on the third time the door exploded and the coffin came forward. In desperation, the man reached out his hand and grabbed whatever he could. All that was there was a bottle of cough syrup, so he threw it at the coffin. The bottle shattered, the cough syrup poured on the coffin, and the coffin stopped. Get it? The coffin stopped. Cough syrup. I haven't read this one, but it's on a website called the Boy Scout Trail. So I'm assuming it's just a bunch of Boy Scout campfire stories to scare the campers. I haven't read this one, like I said, so let's see what it's like. I have Russell here to keep me company. Right, Russell? You want to say something?
You know what? You really need to get a life.
I don't like him. Why won't... Russell and I were good friends for a little bit, okay? And now he just, I think he's mad at me. I think Russell's mad at me. You know what? Don't care. I'm going to read the story. In the heart of the woods, there lay a cool green pond. The shores of the pond were set with ranks of tall bulrushes that waved crisply in the wind, and in the shallow bays there were fleets of broad water lily leaves. Among the rushes and reeds in the quiet water there dwelt a large tribe of frogs. On every warm night of spring, the voices of the frogs arose in a cheerful chorus. Some voices were low and deep. These were the oldest and wisest of the frogs. At least, they were old enough to have learned wisdom. Some were high and shrill, and these were the voices of the little frogs, who did not like to be reminded of the days when they had tails and no legs. Carump, carump, I'm the chief of the pond, croaked a very large bullfrog, sitting in the shade of a water lily leaf, I said that way too fast. Carump, carump, I'm the chief of this pond, replied a hoarse voice from the Opposite bank, opposite bank. Carump, carump. I'm chief of this pond, boasted a third old frog from the furthest shore of the pond. Now a long-legged white crane was standing near, well hidden by the coarse grass that grew at the water's edge. He was very hungry that evening, and when he heard the deep voice of the first bullfrog, he stepped briskly up to him and made a quick pass under the broad leaf with his long, cruel bill. The old frog gave a frightened croak and kicked violently in efforts to get away, while over the quiet pond, splash, 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 went the startled little frogs into the deep water. The crane almost had him when something cold and slimy wound itself about one of his legs. He drew back for a second, and the frog got away safely. But the crane did not lose his dinner after all, for about his leg was curled a large black water snake, and that made a fair meal. Now he rested a while on one leg and listened. The first frog was silent, but the opposite bank, the second frog croaked boastfully, "Carump, carump, I'm the chief of this pond." The crane began to be hungry again. He went round the pond without making any noise, and pounced upon the second frog, who was sitting up in plain sight, swelling his chest with pride, for he really thought now that he was the sole chief of this pond. The crane's head and most of his long neck disappeared under the water, and all over the pond the little frogs went splash, splash into the deepest holes just to be out of the way. Just as he had the frog by one hind leg, the crane saw something that made him let it go, flap his broad wings, and fly awkwardly away to the furthest shore. It was a mink, with his slender brown body and wicked eyes, and he had crept very close to the crane, hoping to seize him as his meal. So the second frog got away too, but he was so dreadfully frightened that he never spoke again. After a long time, Crane got over his fright and became very hungry once more. The pond had been still so long that many of the frogs were singing their pleasant chorus, and above them all boomed the deep voice of the third and last bullfrog, saying, "Carump, carump, I'm the chief of this pond." The crane stood not far from the boaster, and he determined to silence him for once and for all. The next time he began to speak, he had barely said "carump" when the crane had him by the leg. He croaked and struggled in vain. In another moment he could have gone down the crane's long throat, but just then a fox crept up behind the crane and seized him. The crane let go the frog, and so he carried off screaming into the woods for the fox's supper. So the third frog got away, but he was badly lamed by the strong bill. Are you making fun of me now? You could read the story any better?
Yes, I could. You're fat.
Shut up, Russell. Gosh, the audacity of some people. But he was badly lamed by the crane's strong bill, and he never dared to open his mouth again. I don't know what the meaning of that story was, because I honestly don't care enough to look into it that much, but that's a pretty dope story. I guess if I would have to make my own meaning based on what I read, I would say, don't be a frog. Frogs aren't cool. Be a monkey. Like King Kong, right? Who would definitely beat Godzilla. I'm a terrible YouTuber. So that will have to do for this video, because those stories took a long time to read, mostly because I kept stuttering. Okay, Russell, say goodbye to the people.
Unsubscribe.
Why does his face look like that? Roasted, Russell. I think I'm losing my mind. I'll read another story if you guys want me to. Not for this video, but I'll read a few more. Like I said, this website is called theboyscouttrail.com. I assume this is for Boy Scout leaders trying to get scary, spooky stories to tell their troop. Yeah, so credit to them for the dope stories. Hope you guys laughed, had a good time. If you didn't, I don't care. You suck. Russell will give us the outro for this channel. You know the line, right, Russell? Chairman of Chairs? Say it.
He is the chairman of chairs. I hate him.
Good job, Russell. I'll see you guys next time.